Today, I'm at the 30th anniversary celebration of the company's founding with my family. My wife, Jessica, has just given birth and gained a bit of weight postpartum. As soon as I introduced my wife to Mr. Seeger, the department head, he burst into laughter. I thought she was a sumo wrestler. Shall I bring salt for you to throw? Mr. Seeger's voice echoed through the celebration venue. Jessica looked down, embarrassed. But at that moment, Mr. Seeger didn't know who Jessica really was. Soon after, he would start trembling. My name is Tyler, and I'm 35 years old. Currently, it's just Jessica and me living together. I work in the sales department of a major machinery manufacturer, and this year marks my 17th year of service. Due to my job, I meet new people every day, and although it's busy, it's fulfilling and fun. I met Jessica at work. She was working in sales administration, a quiet woman 5 years younger than me. But the first time I saw Jessica, I felt a jolt through my body like an electric shock. It was love at first sight for me. I was the one who spoke to her first, but Jessica was more outgoing than I thought, and she was fun to be around. I gathered my courage and confessed to Jessica, and we started dating. From there, things progressed smoothly, and before I knew it, we were married. Life with Jessica is truly enjoyable every day. Jessica is a great cook and makes my favorite dishes every day. Then one day, Jessica spoke to me with a serious look on her face. Tyler, I think I'm pregnant. Upon hearing Jessica's words, I jumped for joy. Jessica, I'm so happy. Thank you. I've always loved children, and becoming a father was my dream. This might be due to my childhood environment. I lost my parents when I was young and grew up in an orphanage. Because of that, there were always younger children around me. They were all like little brothers and sisters to me, and more than anything, they were precious to me. As I helped raise these younger children, I gradually grew to love kids even more. I've told Jessica everything, and she knows how much I love children. I'm so glad you're happy, Jessica said, and then she started to cry. I hugged Jessica. After a while, Jessica's morning sickness began. At first, we laughed it off as a sign of the baby being there, but then the morning sickness became so severe that it was no laughing matter. Jessica was experiencing pregnancy cravings, which she found helped reduce nausea. Originally thin and slender, she gained about 22 pounds due to these cravings, prompting the doctor to issue a warning. I would buy healthy ingredients on my way home from work and give them to Jessica. You wouldn't want a wife this fat, would you? Jessica looked at me sadly. I love you no matter what, Jessica. It was the truth. There's probably no one else who thinks of me as much as Jessica does, and to me, she's irreplaceable. I was even more determined to work hard for Jessica and our baby. But that determination was easily shattered. As usual, when I went to work in the morning, the workplace was noisy. Curious, I decided to ask my colleague, Ms. Evans, what's going on? Director Izosaki seems to have collapsed at home yesterday. I don't know the details, but it looks like we'll have a reliever from another branch starting today. I was surprised to hear Ms. Evans' words. Director Izosaki was so energetic that he used to boast that his health was his only strong point. It was shocking to hear that such a person had collapsed. While I was in shock, the executive director came into the sales department with a man. The appearance of the executive director made all my colleagues go quiet. Then the executive director began to speak. As you're aware, Izosaki had a minor heart attack at home yesterday. He's chosen to retire, making this a transition period for us. As a result, Mr. Seeger will step in as the new director promptly. Your support for him would be greatly appreciated. Everyone listened intently to what the executive director had to say. The man with the executive director began to look around and started to greet us. From now on, I'll be the head of this department. I'm gonna be tough, so I'm counting on you all. Everyone responded to Director Seeger's words all at once. It was sad that Director Izosaki was not around, but it couldn't be helped. I decided to do my best under the new director. That's when it happened. Director Seeger suddenly came to my desk. So, you're Tyler. I've heard about your good sales performance even from the branch. But, you're a high school graduate, right? I believe all high school graduates are amount to nothing. I couldn't believe my ears. High school graduates are amount to nothing. What does that even mean? My colleagues also look surprised. Since you can't possibly be good at sales, you're a busboy from today. I couldn't accept being dismissed by someone I had just met. Sure, I'm a high school graduate, but I've always worked harder than anyone else. I've been working in the sales department for over 17 years, and I can do sales just fine even as a high school graduate. As I argued back, Director Seeger's face turned redder. He seemed to be getting angry. How dare you talk back to me? You'll be a busboy for life. If you don't like it, you can quit. I was shaking with anger. I've faced hard times in my life, but this was the worst. But if I argued back now, it would jeopardize the future of Jessica and our unborn child. With that thought, I started doing the janitorial work as Director Seeger had ordered, trying to suppress my anger. "Tyler, I'll help you." Ms. Evans offered to help me, worried. But Director Seeger shouted, "Hey, Tyler, don't drag other people into this. This is why I hate high school graduates." Reluctantly, I ended up doing everything by myself. I couldn't understand why Director Seeger was targeting me like this. Finally, when it was time to leave, and I was getting ready to go home, Ms. Evans approached me. "It was a tough day, wasn't it? I'm sorry I couldn't help." Ms. Evans spoke to me with an apologetic look. "It's okay. I think Director Seeger just doesn't like that I'm a high school graduate." Ms. Evans nodded to my words. "It's sad, but that might be true. Actually, Director Izosaki was also a high school graduate, and he and Director Seeger joined the company at the same time. But when it came time to choose a director, they chose Izosaki, who was a high school graduate, over Seeger, who was a college graduate. Since then, he seems to have had a grudge against high school graduates. So that was the past. But Director Izosaki was a wonderful person who always arrived at work before anyone else and was always considerate of his subordinates. Perhaps the company chose people based on their character rather than their educational background, like high school or college degrees. It's ridiculous to target high school graduates. I could only sigh. When I arrived in front of my house, I forced a smile. I didn't want to worry Jessica, who was pregnant. But when I entered the house, Jessica looked at me with a concerned face. "You look even more tired than usual today. Are you okay?" Jessica sees right through me. "Yeah, I'm just tired from some new tasks at work." I said that and escaped to the bathroom before Jessica could catch on. While in the bath, I reminded myself that now was the time to work hard. I had trouble falling asleep that night. The next morning, when I woke up and went to the living room, a pleasant aroma greeted me. The dining table was laden with a breakfast so luxurious it was hard to believe it was just breakfast. Noticing me, Jessica smiled and said, "I woke up early, so I made some things you'd like to eat. Enjoy whatever you like." But I knew. Jessica had gotten up early to make a luxurious breakfast to cheer me up because I was feeling down. "Thank you. There's so much to choose from. I don't know where to start." I ate the abundant breakfast laid out before me, which filled me up and made me feel better. Seeing me like that, Jessica smiled kindly. I put on my shoes and left the house with a smile. Jessica watched me go until I was out of sight. My steps toward the company were heavy. I've never felt such a dislike for my job since I started working at this company. I finally arrived at the company. What would Director Seeger say today? I felt so anxious it was like my chest was being crushed. When I entered the office, Ms. Evans was already there. "Good morning, Tyler." Ms. Evans greeted me with a beaming smile. "Good morning." I greeted back with the best smile I could muster, but I'm not sure if it was a proper smile. I was that nervous. Around 9 o'clock, the office phone rang. Ms. Evans picked it up. Then she started to look puzzled. "Yes, I understand. I'll pass on the message." After hanging up, Ms. Evans came over to me and told me something surprising. "Director Seeger said he'll be a bit late and asked you to organize his documents." Me. Ms. Evans nodded. I couldn't believe that Director Seeger, who looked down on me for being a high school graduate, would ask me to organize documents. Reluctantly, I stood up and took the pile of documents from Director Seeger's desk. The amount was unusually large. I doubted whether he was really doing his job properly. I began organizing the documents right away. Then, just after 11 o'clock, Director Seeger came in, yawning, holding coffee and a bagel from a famous coffee chain. As soon as he arrived, he started eating the bagel. Everyone in the office couldn't hide their surprise and quietly watched him, showing a plate and then doing what? My anger was about to peak. I went to Director Cedar's desk with the documents. I've finished organizing the documents. I'll leave them here. As I said that, Director Cedar suddenly raised his voice. I'm having breakfast. How dare a subordinate interrupt me like this? Do high school graduates not understand that? My body trembled with anger again. This boss is indescribably terrible. Thinking it was a waste of time to deal with him, I tried to return to my desk. Then, Director Cedar, while sipping his coffee, yelled even louder. Hey, you must be free, right? Organize these documents too. And these meeting materials as well. All of that is Director Cedar's work. Surprised, I silently accepted the documents. Director Cedar was just laughing. Returning to my desk, Miss Evans whispered angrily. That's Director Cedar's job, not yours. Why do you have to do it? I'll say something. She was about to stand up, seemingly ready to confront Director Cedar. I desperately stopped Miss Evans. Miss Evans, if you say something like that, you could get fired. I'm fine, really. As I said that, Miss Evans started working again, clearly unsatisfied. I didn't want to involve others because of me. Frustrated, I organized the documents as Director Cedar had ordered. Even after that, Director Cedar would frequently show up late to work or take days off, claiming he was using up his paid leave. Each time, I was forced to do the work that Director Cedar was supposed to do in his stead. I no longer had the energy to talk back and just did as I was told. However, an incident happened suddenly. On the day of an important meeting, as soon as the meeting was over, Director Cedar came out of the meeting room in a rage. He headed straight for my desk and started yelling at me. What is this document? It's full of nonsense. I was confused and didn't understand what he was talking about. I just organized the documents as you instructed, Director Cedar. Cutting off my words, Director Cedar continued to yell at me. This document, it's different from what I instructed. Our high school graduates blind. Because of you, I was embarrassed. Indeed, the document was created exactly as Director Cedar had instructed. He was supposed to create it himself, but I ended up making it for him. Now, he's blaming his mistake on his subordinate. That's the worst thing someone could do. I was so shocked I couldn't say anything more. Then, Miss Evans, who had been watching, ran out of patience and stepped forward. She glared at Director Cedar and said, Director Cedar, you were the one who instructed to make the document like this, right? I heard it. Encouraged by Ms. Evans, other colleagues also chimed in. Indeed, we saw it too. Director Cedar, you were the one who gave those instructions, weren't you? Then, Director Cedar coughed lightly and started to look embarrassed. So what? It was my mistake to rely on a high school graduate. Next time, I'll leave it to a college graduate. Saying that, Director Cedar left the sales department. Then, Miss Evans and other colleagues gathered around me. Ah, that felt refreshing. Did you see Director Cedar's face? Hilarious. Everyone said, standing by my side. I've never felt as supported by Miss Evans and my colleagues as I did today. I felt fortunate to work with such people. But since that incident, Director Cedar's attitude towards me has gotten worse day by day. Hey, where's my coffee? Coffee. Director Cedar dumped all the menial tasks on me. Don't make me say it again. It's the coffee. Understood. When I brought the coffee as Director Cedar had ordered, he deliberately spilled it. Now I can't drink my coffee. Bring me another cup. My colleagues were stunned. Director Cedar's behavior was beyond normal. It was like that of a child. I sighed and went to make another cup of coffee. In this way, Director Cedar looked down on me in every possible way, deciding I was worthless. Exhausted by these days, I had become like a servant to the director without realizing it. One day, after about 6 months of this routine, I received a call during work. It was from Jessica, who was pregnant. I rushed to answer the phone. Then, Jessica said she was starting labor and was on her way to the hospital. I promptly informed Director Cedar, who was sneering, that I needed to leave early, and then I left the company. I hurried to the hospital. Upon arrival, I was led to the delivery room. There, I saw Jessica holding our newly born baby boy. He looked just like me. He was so adorable. I truly understood what they mean when they say you're so cute I could just eat you up. Jessica, thank you for giving birth to a healthy baby, I said and hugged Jessica. We named the baby Liam. Looking at Liam's face, I made a decision. It was to take paternity leave. It wouldn't be good for Jessica's health to let her do all the child care so soon after giving birth. I wanted to do what I could as a father. Is it really okay for you to do that? Jessica asked me worriedly, but I was firm in my decision. The next day, I went to the company with heavy steps. Upon arrival, I declared to Director Seeger, my wife has given birth, so I'm taking paternity leave. Director Seeger's face gradually turned into a scowl. Paternity leave? What are you talking about? It's just for 3 weeks. The company policy states that male employees can take paternity leave, so please proceed with the necessary paperwork. Director Seeger seemed like he wanted to say something, but the moment I mentioned a company policy, he quieted down. I officially took 3 weeks of paternity leave. When I returned home and told Jessica, she was relieved. I was really nervous about taking care of the baby alone for the first time, but knowing you'll be here makes me feel safe. Let's do our best together. I spoke to Jessica while holding crying Liam. During the day, Jessica took care of Liam, and at night, it was my turn. Liam was a baby who drank a lot of milk and cried a lot. It was challenging day and night, honestly more so than work, but the happiness of being involved in child care was indescribable. I did my best to ensure that my little Liam could live comfortably. As the 3 weeks of paternity leave were about to fly by, I received a call from Ms. Evans. There's a celebration for the company's 30th anniversary at the hotel this Sunday. You and your family are coming, right? I remember Director Seeger mentioning the celebration before, but Director Seeger would surely attend the celebration as well. I was in a dilemma. Is it okay for me to attend while on paternity leave? Has Director Seeger said anything? Over the phone, Ms. Evans said, of course it's okay. And Director Seeger hasn't said anything. We all want to see Tyler's baby, so please do come. Encouraged by Ms. Evans' words, I found myself saying, then, I'll attend, and hung up. Thinking it over calmly, I started to feel anxious about my decision. I didn't know what Director Seeger would say when I saw him, but I also felt the desire to introduce Liam and Jessica to my colleagues. My feelings were mixed. Jessica, there's a 30th anniversary celebration for the company this weekend. Would you like to come with me? Jessica was silent for a moment, her expression as uneasy as mine. What's wrong? Don't you want to go? Do you think you'd be embarrassed? With the way I look now, Jessica looked sad. She hadn't lost the weight she gained during pregnancy and was a bit plump. But to me, Jessica was attractive no matter what. Jessica, you're always beautiful. I've never felt embarrassed. At my words, Jessica smiled happily. Thank you. If we're going, I need to prepare what to wear. Seeing Jessica's smile return made me happy. On the day of the celebration, I dressed in a suit for the first time in a while. Looking over at Jessica, she was wearing a navy blue dress. The dress accentuated Jessica's charm. Jessica, that dress looks great on you. Jessica blushed as she dressed Liam. Thanks for the compliment, but don't expect anything in return. Jessica made a playful face. We got into the car and headed to the hotel for the venue. The hotel, known as a prestigious establishment, was a place neither Jessica or I had ever entered. Inside, there was a large sparkling chandelier and luxurious sofas lined up. We passed through the lobby, took the elevator, and entered the designated large room, where a lavish meal was laid out and colleagues had already gathered. Wow, this is my first time at a celebration like this. Jessica was marveling with wide eyes. Liam, being held, looked around curiously. Then, we were approached from behind. It was Ms. Evans. Tyler, long time no see. Oh my, how adorable. Ms. Evans was captivated by Liam. This is my wife, Jessica, and our son, Liam. It's a pleasure to meet you. My husband always speaks highly of you. Jessica greeted her, and Ms. Evans smiled, saying, Tyler, your wife is so beautiful. Take good care of her. Ms. Evans held Liam, showering him with affection. I looked around, thinking I should greet Director Seeger if he was here. However, I couldn't spot him yet. I then spoke to Jessica. Go ahead and get some food. I'll watch Liam. The food here is all exquisite. Let's go together. The meal was buffet style, where we could eat as much as we liked. I wanted Jessica to enjoy the celebration as much as possible, as she always put Liam and me first. Jessica happily said, "Thank you. I'll be right back," and headed to the food area with Miss Evans. Liam started to fuss a bit when he realized Jessica was gone. Recently, Liam has started crying whenever Jessica isn't around. It's probably part of growing up, but it makes me a bit sad. Once Liam starts crying, it's hard to calm down, so I decided to take him for a walk around the venue to keep him from crying. Then, someone called out to me from behind. If it isn't Tyler, the nuisance who took paternity leave. It was Director Seeger. As usual, he had nothing but snide remarks for me. I stood my ground and spoke to Director Seeger. "Thanks to the paternity leave, I've been able to participate in my son's care. Thank you for that." When I thanked him, Director Seeger visibly grimaced. "Child care is normally the mother's job, isn't it? Your leave has made us all busier. Only a high school graduate wouldn't understand that." I was astonished at Director Seeger's male chauvinistic attitude. Being single, he probably doesn't understand the difficulties of parenting. I sighed. "I'll be returning to work next week, so I look forward to your cooperation." Trying to keep my irritation in check, I said this to Director Seeger, who then burst into laughter and said something shocking. "I got rid of your desk because it was in the way. There won't be a place for you when you return." I was stunned. Was he telling me not to come back to work? Just as anger was about to take over, Jessica and Miss Evans returned. Jessica looked puzzled, probably having overheard a bit of my conversation with Director Seeger. I introduced Jessica to Director Seeger. "This is my wife, Jessica." Director Seeger then burst out laughing loudly. "I thought she was a sumo wrestler. Shall I bring salt for you to throw?" I was frozen. Jessica, who had been self-conscious about her post-pregnancy weight, was mortified by his insensitive remark. She looked down, completely embarrassed. I couldn't hold back any longer. "Seeger, can't you grasp what's appropriate for your age? Even a high school graduate like me understands it. You're less mature than a high schooler." Director Seeger was taken aback by my words. He hadn't expected me to stand up to him. The next moment, with his face turning red, Director Seeger raised his voice so it echoed throughout the venue. "Shut up. I was only telling the truth. There's no way I'm less than a high school graduate." All eyes in the venue turned towards us. Miss Evans looked at Director Seeger with anger. That's when it happened. A couple walked towards us. "What's all the noise about?" Director Seeger suddenly became meek and started making a big smile to the man. "I'm terribly sorry for the disturbance. Mr. Spencer, it's wonderful to see you and your wife together as always. Such a lovely couple. Today is a special celebration for the anniversary of the company's founding, so I brought my wife along." The man was Mr. Spencer, the president of a client company. Mrs. Spencer smiled gracefully. The next moment, Mr. Spencer looked towards Jessica. "Jessica, how have you been? And Liam has gotten so big." Mr. Spencer smiled warmly at Liam. Jessica quickly replied, "Mr. Spencer, it's been a while. We're doing well, thank you." Then, Director Seeger exclaimed in surprise. "What? You know each other?" Director Seeger had a look of disbelief at what was unfolding before him. "Know each other? Jessica is the daughter of the president of this company. Didn't you know that?" "What?" Director Seeger's face went pale. "Yes, Jessica is indeed the daughter of the president of the company I work for. I had no idea she was the president's daughter when we were dating. I remember being speechless from shock when I saw Jessica's father's face during our marriage introduction. I had never imagined Jessica was the president's daughter. Jessica had always been treated specially because she was the president's daughter. Many of the people she dated before were only after her for her money and didn't truly love her. That's why Jessica started dating me without revealing her true identity. I love Jessica, whether she's the president's daughter or not." Then, as the entrance became noisy, the president entered the venue and approached Jessica. "Mr. Spencer, thank you for taking the trouble to come." "Not at all. It's an important business partner, and I'm very satisfied to see Jessica's baby." Mr. Spencer laughed. Looking at Director Seeger, the president said, "Thanks to Director Seeger approving the paternity leave, Tyler has been able to help with child care. I think Jessica has been greatly relieved. Mr. Spencer continued, looking at Director Seeger. Paternity leave is essential for men too. We're planning to introduce it in our company soon. Director Seeger, with an embarrassed look, replied in a weak voice. Yes, that's right. Mr. Spencer smiled warmly at Jessica. I can't believe the little Jessica has grown into such a beautiful woman and now a mother. She is a beautiful woman, making Tyler a lucky man indeed. Director Seeger, changing his tune, began to compliment Jessica on her beauty. I was speechless in surprise. Just a while ago, he had treated Jessica like a sumo wrestler, and now he was too opportunist. I was dismayed at Director Seeger. Then, Jessica raised her voice. Director Seeger, you thought I was a sumo wrestler just a while ago, didn't you? Director Seeger froze at Jessica's words. The president looked concerned. That was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. So, clearing Tyler's desk because it was in the way was also a misunderstanding. What? Director Seeger, what does that mean? That was also a misunderstanding. The venue suddenly became quiet. Then, Ms. Evans appeared with an angry expression. Mr. President, Director Seeger has been doing as he pleases in the sales department, looking down on Tyler because he's a high school graduate. He's been treating our excellent Tyler like a busboy. The president was shaking with anger. Jessica looked at me and Director Seeger in disbelief. That's all lies. Please don't listen to such nonsense. Director Seeger glared at Miss Evans. Then, colleagues from the sales department also spoke up. What Miss Evans is saying is true. The one lying is Director Seeger. Director Seeger, seemingly resigned, looked down dejectedly. Then, the president raised his voice. Director Seeger, it seems you are not suitable for this company. I will inform you of your punishment later. Such a thing. Director Seeger trembled and sat down on the spot. The president used the microphone to say, today is our company's 30th anniversary celebration. Everyone, let's drink, eat, and have fun. With the president's words as a signal, liveliness returned to the venue. Jessica and I ignored Director Seeger, who was sitting down, and enjoyed the celebration. Before we knew it, Director Seeger had disappeared from the venue. Afterward, Director Seeger was demoted and received a 3-month salary reduction due to his behavior towards subordinates coming to light. However, with his high pride, Director Seeger disliked working in the same position as me and gradually stopped coming to the company, eventually opting to resign voluntarily. On Director Seeger's last day at the office, not a single person saw him off, and the sight of him leaving the company was truly pitiable. Director Seeger's foolishness, judging people only by their appearance or educational background, led to this outcome. Director Tyler, please check these documents. Being called director still feels awkward, so please call me by my name like before. After that, I was promoted to Director Seeger's position. Thinking that my hard work had been recognized made me genuinely happy. Can the document check wait until tomorrow? I have an important matter to attend to today. Of course. Today is Liam's birthday, isn't it? Yes, today is the important first birthday of Liam. I hurried out of the company and went home. At home, Jessica and Liam were waiting for me with beaming smiles. I thought to myself that I would continue to cherish and nurture this family.